Drip, drip of warm tallow falling into waiting hands. Master Aldwyn's cottage stands at the edge of the hill, near a bend in the old forest path. It is a crooked house, but strong. Its door is low, the windows thick with hand-blown glass. And from its chimney, the smoke rises not straight, but in slow spirals, as if even the smoke is dreaming. Inside, ... there is warmth. Not just the warmth of fire, but the kind of warmth that wraps you in safety. The smell of beeswax and chamomile lingers in the beams. Lavender hangs in bundles from the ceiling, and sprigs of rosemary dry gently above the stone hearth. Aldwyn ... is an old man now. His hands are knotted like tree roots, but his fingers still move with care. He wears a cloak the color of dark plum, and his shoes are soft from many years of quiet steps. He speaks very little, but every night, as the village sleeps, ... he begins his work. Each candle he makes begins with a single wick, dipped again and again into a pot of gently melted tallow, rendered from the sheep that graze the village hills. As the wax builds, soft and white, he hums old songs from the days when the moon seemed larger and dreams were stitched with herbs. There is a secret, you see, a secret only he knows. Every candle he makes holds a whisper inside. Long ago, when Aldwyn was but a boy, he was taught by an ancient wanderer, a woman they called Mother Vine, who claimed that scents could guide dreams. She said that burning mugwort and yarrow, twisted into the base of a candle, could send peaceful visions into the sleeper's mind. That rosemary protected the spirit. That crushed chamomile gave the soul rest. So, in each candle, Aldwyn slips in a thread of herb. Not enough to see, but just enough to breathe. When you light one of Aldwyn's candles, you might find your dreams gentler. You might find the old forest in your sleep, or a songbird singing in a language you've never heard, but somehow understand. Tonight, he's making a special batch, for the longest night of the year approaches, what the villagers call moonrest. It is a tradition older than even Aldwyn remembers. On that night, every home lights their candle at once. Every window glows, and no one speaks after sundown. Only silence and the flicker of flame. It is believed that the spirits of rest walk among the homes, sweeping away worry, gathering up bad dreams like dust. And so, Aldwyn dips each candle with patience. He adds a pinch of lavender, crushed between worn palms. He rolls the wick in powdered sage. He wraps the base in linen, tied with red thread, an old custom from the Eastern Isles. Then he lays them in a wooden crate lined with wool. Outside, the fog the moon lifts slowly over the hill, and the wind carries the smell of wax and flowers through the village. You can almost hear it, ... can't you? The hush of the trees, the slow turn of the stars, the whisper of dreams waiting by candlelight. Sleep is near. The crate of finished candles now rests beside Master Aldwyn's work. Each one smells faintly of warmth and woodlands, like a garden in autumn, or a dream half-remembered from childhood. He closes his eyes for a moment, breathing in the calm that only candlemakers know. And then, quietly, he lifts his long-handled iron fire, reaches into the hearth, and pulls forward a fresh piece of peat. It hisses, and the flames dance like tiny foxes along its edges. The cottage fills with amber light. Outside, the mist thickens, curling through the grass like slow water, slipping over mossy stones, twisting around fence posts, worn smooth by rain and time. Aldwyn places one candle in the center of the room. He lights it, and for a moment, everything becomes still. The flame is steady. It does not flicker. It burns with a quiet strength. He watches it with reverence. You see, this candle, this one, he says, is different. In a whisper, he tells the air what few ever knew. Each year, on the eve of moonrest, he makes one special candle. The first flame, he calls it, this candle carries all his care, all the gentleness of the year, folded into wax and wick. It is said that if you dream beside this light, you might catch a glimpse of something precious. A memory long buried, a loved one's voice, or a glimpse of something yet to come. Some say it is magic. Aldwyn only smiles when asked, but his eyes, those wise, cloud-gray eyes, glimmer like candlelight. When he speaks of it, he sets the first flame upon the windowsill. From there, its soft glow can be seen by anyone wandering the old forest trail below. You see, not everyone lives in a village. Some, like the wayfarers, quiet folk of the woods who sleep beneath trees, come only once a year, drawn to that little glimmer of warmth. And tonight, someone is coming. A soft crunch of leaves, a shadow between the trees. And then, a figure steps from the fog. She is cloaked in indigo wool, with a satchel of herbs at her side. Her boots are muddy, her cheeks windblown, but her eyes shine bright as frost under moonlight. This is Mira, an herbalist from the outer grove. Each year, she walks the hills to bring Aldwyn a gift, a rare flower called sleep's eye, which blooms only beneath starlight on the night of moonrest. Aldwyn opens the door without needing to knock. He smiles, nodding once. Their greeting is always wordless, spoken through the steam of tea and the warmth of shared silence. She enters, shrugs off her cloak, and places the flower in his hand. It is silver blue, with 5 soft petals and a golden core. It smells like cool linen and late summer rain. Aldwyn places it in a tiny iron pot beside the first flame. The flower glows faintly in the candlelight. Then Mira speaks, softly, slowly, telling him of her travels, the way the river froze early this year, how the owls have been nesting low. A sign of long winter. He listens, eyes half closed, nodding only when the wind changes direction. Their rhythm is old and unhurried, like parchment turning in a sacred book. She stays only a little while. Before dawn breaks, she'll be on her way again, off to leave dried elderberries at the old shrine by the stones. But for now, she rests in Aldwyn's chair, and together they watch the candle. Outside, the village remains still. No footsteps, no voices, only the drip of wax and the breath of fog brushing the windows. In the homes nearby, others begin to stir, not to ride, but to wake briefly, to light their own moonrest candle. Little Thomlin, the blacksmith's boy, rubs his sleepy eyes as his mother lights the taper by the door. Old Bruna, who never sleeps through the night, smiles as she places her candle on the floor beside her rocking chai. And the Vinter family, all wrapped in one enormous quilt, watch their flame dance in silence. Even the baby seems to understand this is not a night for crying. In each home, a quiet reverence grows, a sense of being watched over, wrapped in something older than stories, warmed by more than fire. Aldwyn takes the last candle from his crate. He holds it in both hands. This one is meant for the shrine, a place few remember now, a stone circle deep in the trees, where once, long ago, people gathered to sing the sun to sleep. He will carry it there just before dawn. But not yet. For now, he waits. The fire is low. Mira has fallen into gentle sleep by the hearth, and the first flame still glows on the windowsill. Its light, so soft, so steady, invites the mind to drift, to wander into dream. The candlelight hums, soft as a lullaby, without words, as Aldwyn carefully wraps the shrine candle in russet cloth. The warmth from its wax lingers on his fingers, like a handshake from the flame itself. Outside, the fog has thickened into a silvery blanket. It wraps the trees, curls around chimney pots, and settles over the cobbled paths like velvet. Aldwyn moves quietly through his cottage, checking the latch on the storeroom door, stirring the last embers in the hearth. The copper kettle lets out a soft sigh as it cools. Above, the dried herbs shift slightly in a breeze that isn't there. Midnight has passed, and the world is gently turning toward dawn. Mira, still slumbering by the fire, smiles faintly in her sleep. Her fingers twitch, as though plucking a flower from a dream. Aldwyn watches her for a moment. He remembers the first time she came to him. Just a girl then, barefoot and curious, asking why his candles smelled like sleep itself. She had the same eyes back then, bright and deep as well water. Eyes that see not just what is, but what was, and what might be. He tucks a wool blanket around her shoulders, then turns to his little writing desk. There, resting beneath a square of old glass, lies a book. It's bound in blue leather, soft from age, and fastened with a button of carved bone. Inside are the recipes, not of meals, not of medicines, but of light. Each candle he makes has a name, a purpose, a scent born from memory and season. He turns the page with care. For peaceful sleep, lavender, beeswax, a thread of linen touched the first snow. For comforting grief, vetiver root, rosemary and pine, sap stirred with milk. For quiet joy, orange rind dried in a clay oven, thyme, and rose petals wrapped in silk. He runs his finger down the parchment. These are not just ingredients, but intentions. For, in the old way of candle making, as taught by Mother Vine, the feeling you carry while making the candle becomes part of its flame. He pauses on a page, simply titled For Travelers. There is a small smudge where rain once touched the ink, and beside the recipe, a note in finer hand. Burn before a journey, and you will always find your way home. He closes the book softly. Outside the window, the first flame is steady. The village is utterly still now, held in the hush between hours. Somewhere, far below, an owl calls, and Aldwyn moves to his cloak. It is heavy, lined with fleece, dyed the deep teal of river shadows. Its hem is worn smooth from years of walking old paths by candlelight. He lifts the shrine candle in both hands. It is still warm. Then, with the gentlest of steps, he opens his door. Fog greets him like an old friend. The air smells of wood smoke, moss, and something faintly sweet. Perhaps the breath of spring to come. He walks the path in silence, past the stone well, past the baker's shuttered window, past the ancient yew tree, where birds do not nest, but where whispers are said to rest. Each step is slow, deliberate, a footfall of quiet purpose, and with each pace, the candle flame does not waver, as if even the wind respects this ritual. Down the hill he goes, then turns into the woods. The trees are tall here, twisting, some with bark-like wrinkled faces, others split and hollow, home to creatures unseen. The candle lights his way, casting golden shapes across trunks and branches. For a moment, the forest appears alive with memory. There, a glint of stone through the mist. The shrine, half forgotten by time. It is a ring of standing stones, some broken, others leaning. In the center is a flat slab, overgrown with lichen and thyme. Aldwyn steps within the circle, and the forest goes utterly quiet. Even the wind pauses. He kneels carefully, unwraps the candle, and places it on the stone. Then he speaks, not loudly, not in chant, but in a voice so low that only the earth may hear. Carry them softly, he says, into the hush. Give them rest and dreams of peace. He strikes flint to steel. A spark, a breath, and the candle flickers to life. Its flame is different here, brighter, but gentler. Not wild, but wise. He bows his head, not in prayer, but in gratitude, then rises slowly, leaving the flame to stand watch over the world. As he turns, a shape flickers at the edge of the stones. Not frightening, not solid, just a suggestion of someone long gone. A woman, maybe, or a child, or a memory too distant to name. He does not speak, he only nods, and the shape fades. Aldwyn steps quietly from the stone circle, his cloak brushing moss and leaf, his candle left behind, burning low but proud. Its light remains, casting faint golden arcs onto the stones, like a lullaby in color. Back through the forest he walks, though not the same way he came. This time, his path curves gently upward, through a grove of ash trees, whose bark gleams silver under moonlight. He moves with the ease of one who knows the rhythm of woods, the slow breaths of trees, and the kind of silence that heals rather than haunts. Above him, the moon dips lower, pulling at the mist like a soft hand tugging at a blanket. The stars begin to pale. The hour of stillness is ending, and the hush before dawn draws near. By the time he reaches his cottage, the sky has begun to change. Not quite pink, not yet gold, but that gentle, dusky color only seen in the soft breath between night and morning. Inside, Mira is still curled in the chair, a light smile resting on her lips, her fingers now quiet in sleep. Aldwyn kneels at the hearth. The embers still glow. He adds a single piece of apple wood, and the flame returns. Not fiercely, but like a friend who never left. He pours warm water from the kettle into 2 clay mugs. Into each, he drops a blend of dried lemon balm, linden flower, and a single petal from the sleepside bloom. The scent rises, calming, like old lullabies and slow-dancing candlelight. He places Mira's cup on the little table beside her, then sits in his own chair, the one with the curve worn deep from years of quiet watching. He does not need to sip. He only holds the mug in his hands. The warmth is enough. The first flame still burns in the window. Its wax has begun to pool. Its wick now shorter than when the night began. Aldwyn sighs, deep and low, the kind of sigh Dad lets go, of everything that need not follow you into the morning. He thinks just briefly of all the homes in the village, of Famlin, curled with a wooden toy under one arm, his mother's shawl tucked gently over his shoulder, of Bruna, her head now nodded forward in sleep, her cat curled at her feet, the candlelight casting soft gold over silver hair, of the Winter family, breathing as one beneath their quilt, the baby making tiny sighs in his dreams. And he thinks of his own dreams, though he rarely remembers them. He knows they visit him just the same. Memories, music, moments he lived once, and some he never did. They are welcome. Mira stirs. Her eyes open slowly, the way flowers do when touched by morning light. She blinks once, twice, then smiles at him, a soft smile. No teeth, no words, just warmth. He nods and lifts his mug slightly. They drink. There's no need to speak. The tea speaks for them. Its flavor, a whisper of lemon and light. Its warmth, a promise of ease. The blanket falls to the chair, and she wraps her cloak around her shoulders. She takes her satchel from the hearth side and tucks a small bundle of fresh herbs inside. A gift from Aldwyn, tied in silk string. He's written a note on a scrap of parchment. For the path ahead, may it be soft beneath your feet. She places her hand on his shoulder. Not a goodbye, but a touch of thanks. Then she steps into the growing light and disappears into the mist. Aldwyn sits alone, but not lonely. The fire is low again. The candle in the window has nearly gone out. Outside, the birds are beginning to stir. Their first chirps are tentative, like strings being softly tuned. The fog begins to rise, lifting upward like breath let go. And soon, the village will wake. They will stretch. They will open shutters. They will find crumbs beside their beds and candle stubs in the windowsill. They may not speak of what they dreamt, but many will smile as if they remember. And some, a very few, will know that the peace they feel was not only from sleep. It came from the quiet work of an old candlemaker, his herbs, his fire, his intention, and from a secret carried in wax and flame. Aldwyn finally stands. He pours the last of his tea into the hearth. He stretches his arms, his back popping gently like dry bark after rain. Then he lifts the first flame from the sill. Only a flicker of light remains. He cups it gently, lets it burn just a moment longer, and then he exhales. The flame dims, then vanishes, leaving only a faint trail of smoke and the scent of lavender, sage, and something else. Something like memory. The day has begun. And so ends Moonrest. But its peace lingers. Like candlelight behind the eyes, like warmth in the hands long after the mug is empty, like a song you never learned, but somehow know by heart. Though the candle has gone out, the warmth remains. Aldwyn's cottage holds it close, like a secret tucked beneath a wool blanket. The embers in the hearth sleep now, cooled to soft gray hush. But even without flame, the room still glows, with comfort, with memory, with the kind of silence that speaks softly to the soul. Aldwyn moves through his cottage, hands brushing familiar things, the dried herbs above his head, the well-worn spine of the recipe book, the carved wooden handle of the drawer where he keeps the fine, moon-colored thread used only for special wicks. He opens the shutters slowly. Daylight is still shy. The village below is bathed in early blue. That in between you, cool and tender, when the world is neither sleeping nor awake. Aldwyn steps outside. The morning air touches him with chilly fingers, but he doesn't flinch. He inhales deeply. It smells of damp earth, old stone, baking bread, and distant sheep. A few houses have opened their doors. You can see gentle plumes of smoke beginning to curl from rooftops again. The village is rising, but not hurriedly. It is still under the soft spell of Moonrest, and perhaps, just for a little while, they'll carry that peace with them. He walks a short path behind his home, where a row of low stones marks the edge of his garden. Here, in clay pots and wooden troughs, grow the flowers and roots that become more than scent. Here's the mugwort, dark-lipped and mysterious. The rosemary, tall and fragrant. The rose petals, pale as dawn and sleep's eye. The silver-blue flower Mira brought, its bloom now closed, resting after its night of glow. He touches each with care, as if greeting old friends. And then he turns. Just beyond the fence, beneath a crooked apple tree, rests a single headstone, unadorned, worn smooth by years of mist and moss. But Aldwyn knows the name by heart. Mother Vine. He kneels before it, not to weep, not to mourn, but to remember. In his pocket, he carries a tiny taper, no thicker than a twig. He lights it with the last spark from his flint and places it on the stone. The flame dances once, then calms. "Thank you," he says. It is all he needs to say, for it was she who taught him that fire could do more than warm. It could guide, it could soothe, it could carry wishes on smoke. Aldwyn stays there a while, listening to the soft hum of the garden. A bee stirs in a flower, a dewdrop falls, landing on a petal with the gentlest plink. The world is waking, but gently. Even the sun rises slower on Moonrest morning. Eventually, he returns to the cottage. Inside, he begins to tidy, washing the tin molds in rainwater, folding the cloths, stacking the crates with care. Everything has its place. Everything earns its rest. Then, from a small wooden box, lined in blue velvet, he removes a bundle of tiny vials. Inside each, a single drop of oil. He opens one, a blend of anise and chamomile. He dabs it onto a bit of flax and breathes it in. A long, slow breath, and the memory rises. A child's laughter, a lost ring found beneath a willow tree, a lullaby sung in a voice. Now go. He exhales slowly, as if releasing it back to the world. He caps the vial and smiles faintly. Yes, he will make a new candle today. Not for the village, not for Moon, but for himself. It will be called Remembrance. The first in a new season. He sets the ingredients before him on the table, not rushing. The beeswax from his stores, filtered and golden. The wick, hand-spun from flax. A pinch of dried sage. 3 crushed rose hips. And the oil that carries the sound of a memory. The pot warms above the fire. The wax melts slowly. A thick, sweet liquid, golden as morning tea. He dips the wick, pulls it out, waits, dips again, each time slower than the last. Outside, the fog has nearly lifted. The birds sing now, not loudly, but as if remembering their songs from somewhere inside a dream. And far in the village, laughter rings out, the clear, high sound of a child's voice echoing between stone walls. Aldwyn closes his eyes. The candle in his hand is still soft, cooling as he holds it. He will place it on the shelf beside the book and light it only when he needs to visit something far away or deep within. A candle, not to chase away darkness, but to bring light to the corners of the soul. The candle of remembrance rests on Aldwyn's work table now, its wick trimmed, its wax cooled and shaped, smooth as a river stone, light as breath. He gazes at it, but does not light it yet. Some flames are meant to wait. He sets it on a shelf carved from elk, beside other candles with names like "For Lost Things Found," "For Dreams Without Fear," "For Saying Goodbye Slowly." Each candle has its time, each flame its moment. He washes his hands in cool rose water, rubbing away the last of the wax. The scent clings gently to his palms, comforting and old. Then he opens the shutters wide. Morning sunlight, soft as woven thread, spills into the room. It dances on the floor, pauses on the edge of the hearth, and warms the stone windowsill where the first flame once stood. There is no rush now, no list to complete, no deliveries to make. Moonrest is not a holiday. It is not marked by feasting or music. It is a soft tradition, like a lullaby handed down. It is not for celebration, but for surrender, to calm, to memory, to silence. Outside, the village is beginning its day. The blacksmith's forge awakens, soft clangs ringing through the still air. More lullaby than labor this morning. The baker's door swings open, and the smell of fresh oat bread floats through the winding paths like a trail of comfort.
Children chase one another quietly, as if even their games remember the night before. One of them, young Tomlin, holds a stub of candle in his hand. He shows it proudly to a friend. They speak in whispers. "Mine burned the longest," he says, his face bright with pride. His friend nods solemnly. Both seem to understand without needing to say that these candles were more than light. They were guardians, watchers, dream keepers. Aldwyn watches from his window. He smiles. Then he opens his front door. On his stoop, a surprise. A small basket, wicker woven tight, lined in wool, tied with a ribbon of indigo silk. Inside, 3 sprigs of wild thyme, a pouch of powdered myrrh, and a note for the next first flame, signed with a single letter. He lifts the thyme, crushes a leaf between his fingers. The scent rises, bright, spicy, grounding. A perfect beginning. He brings the basket inside, placing the ingredients carefully into their places. Jars labeled with fine script, each shelf a map of scents. He takes the myrrh to a small stone dish, grinds it gently with a mortar carved from river rock. The sound is soft, like walking through gravel with bare feet. Soothing, earthy, the day drifts onward. Sunlight moves across the floorboards like honey poured from a slow-spoken pitcher. Birds gather near the shutters. One, a robin, hops along the sill, tilting its head to watch Aldwyn work. Its tiny claws tap-tap on the stone like a second hand marking slow, meditative time.
The air grows warmer, but the cottage stays cool, built thick with stone that keeps the fire's memory even when it sleeps. He begins preparations for a midday rest. Moonrest is not only about the night, it is about knowing when to pause, when to listen, when to let the weight fall from your shoulders without needing to pick it up again right away. He pours water into a shallow copper basin, adds dried mint and yarrow, washes his face slowly, cupping the water in both hands. Then he lays a linen cloth over his eyes, leans back in the chair beside the window, and lets the sun warm his feet. There are no more candles to make today, no wicks to trim, no wax to stir. Today is for stillness, for listening to the quiet within the quiet. His breathing slows. The robin sings once, a clear, high note, then flutters away. The cottage sighs, the beams creak gently. A breeze slips through the shutters, carrying the scent of time, old wood, and cooling tea. And Aldwyn sleeps, not deeply, but fully, the kind of sleep that feels round, whole, safe. And within that sleep, he dreams. In the dream, he is not old. His hands are young again, sure and nimble. He walks through a garden of herbs that stretch taller than trees. The air is thick with scent. Clove, rose, myrtle, oak. Candles bloom from the earth like flowers. Petals of wax, stems made of woven wick. He plucks one, lights it with a sunbeam, and the entire world fills with golden, pulsing calm. He sees Mira there, not far, smiling, her hair braided with sage leaves, her cloak trailing stars. They do not speak, they do not need to. The light speaks for them. He holds out the candle. She takes it, nods once, and the dream fades as gently as it began. Aldwyn wakes just as the sun reaches its tallest point, but even then, its light stays gentle. No harsh glares, no sharp shadows, only the quiet warmth of midday wrapped in a shawl of cloud-soft skies. He stretches slowly, his joints creaking like well-loved floorboards. There is no hurry. There never is, not on the day after moonrest. The dream lingers, not in clear pictures, but in impressions. A golden light, a blooming candle. Mira's quiet smile. He carries the feeling with him as he moves through the house. Each breath is a step through the still waters of his own spirit. Outside, the village is stirring more now. Soft chatter floats in through the open shutters. Laughter, a shepherd's whistle, the jingle of a bell strapped to a goat's collar. But even these sounds feel hushed, the kind of hush that lingers after a shared prayer, or after the last note of a lullaby. Aldwyn picks up a broom, not to sweep away mess, but to return things to their gentle order. The ash from the hearth is gathered in a wooden bowl. He'll scatter it near the yew tree. Old tradition says it blesses the soil and keeps the spirits fed. He sweeps with slow, circular strokes, noticing as he goes. A scrap of linen caught under the bench, a wax drip shaped like a sleeping fox, a dried petal from a reyes flower. Fallen but not forgotten. Every corner of the cottage is a keeper of stories. Even the rafters, where a single spider weaves silver thread as sunlight kisses its web with threads of gold. Aldwyn smiles. He sets the broom aside and walks to a little chest beneath the window. He opens it. Inside is his most treasured thing. A book bound, not in leather, but stitched linen, dyed midnight blue, and dusted with pressed flowers from summers long past. This is not his recipe book. This is his book of dreams. He opens it carefully. Each page is handwritten not in lines, but in spirals and arcs, as though the words themselves were curling into sleep. He reads snippets. The candle in the clearing sang in Myra's voice tonight. A boy asked for a light that could find his father's footsteps. A dream of fireflies blinking in perfect rhythm. I woke calm. Each entry is short, but full of meaning. He finds a blank page, and with a soft charcoal pencil, he writes, "This year's first flame burned brighter. Mira brought time and sleep's eye, dreamt of candles blooming in a garden, gave one to her. It felt like goodbye, but peaceful." He sets the book aside and wraps it in soft wool, then tucks it back into the chest, along with a vial of lavender oil and a smooth, thumb-worn pebble from the riverbank. He saved that stone since he was a child. When he first fell into the river and a stranger pulled him out, he never learned the name of his rescuer, but he remembers the candlelight that flickered in their window as he was returned home. Wet, shivering, but safe. Aldwyn walks to the hearth and places a fresh taper in the stone holder. He doesn't light it, not yet. He only sits nearby, closes his eyes, and listens to the wind, to the silence, to the soft memory of flame. He thinks of the way Candace speak, not in words, but in the sway of a flame, the drip of wax, the scent that lingers long after the light is gone. Sometimes they whisper, other times they sing. And tonight, he knows, they will hum something new, a song just for him. Outside, a knock, soft, almost polite. A knock like a breeze finding its way to wood. He opens the door and finds a child standing there. Hair, the color of dandelion fluff. Freckles like nutmeg dust. Eyes wide, but not afraid. She holds something in both hands. A candle, one of his, but not made for moon rests. One of the older ones. Pale green, scented with lemon balm and clover. I found this, she says softly. It burned all night. My dreams were happy. He kneels beside her. That was yours, he whispers. Made just for you. She holds it up. It's almost gone. But I wanted to say thank you. He smiles, and his heart blooms like wax unfolding in warmth. He reaches into his apron and pulls out a fresh taper. This one, he says, is for new dreams. You keep it safe. She takes it with both hands, as if holding a baby bird. Then she nods, turns, and runs off, leaving only footprints in the soft dust. Aldwyn watches her go, then closes the door gently, as if sealing in a secret. He walks back to his chair. The afternoon light has deepened, turning golden. Another day's candle will soon be made. But for now, he sits. He rests. He remembers the sunlight has faded to amber now. The golden hour, it pools across Aldwyn's floor like warm honey, glazing the stone and wood with a softness that seems to slow time. He does not move much. Only his fingers stir, turning the wick slowly between thumb and forefinger, preparing it for the next candle. Not out of duty, but as a ritual of care. Outside, long shadows stretch like sleeping animals. Across the cobblestones, the village hushes again, not quite as deep as the night before, but a quiet that speaks of satisfied hearts, of meals being prepared, and books opened gently beside cooling tea. In the distance, a bell rings the evening call from the chapel tower. Not loud, just enough to remind everyone that light is fading, and soon it will be time to return to hearth and home. Aldwyn stands. His knees click softly, but he smiles through it. From the top shelf, he brings down a tall glass jar. Inside, curled shavings of dried orange peel, star anise, a touch of cinnamon bark. He inhales, a scent like sun-warmed citrus groves and late totem fires. This will be the evening candle. He melts the wax slowly, stirring clockwise with a birchwood rod carved with little suns and moons. The scent fills the cottage. It feels like closing your eyes after a long day. Not from exhaustion, but from the peace of knowing you did just enough. When the candle is poured and cooling, he sets it in the windowsill to catch the last of the natural light, and then he opens the back door. The sky beyond is deepening into indigo, clouds tinted mauve and soft peach, like petals scattered across a velvet sky. A breeze carries in the scent of wood smoke, the chirping of crickets, and the distant bleating of sheep being herded down the hill. He steps into his little garden again. This time, bare. The soil is cool, softened by morning mist and shaded all day. He touches the edge of each planter, offering thanks not aloud, but in the way of old folk, who know that gratitude doesn't always need words. There, nestled in a pot of thyme, he finds a tiny feather, not fallen by chance, placed. Perhaps he tucks it behind his ear. No reason, only instinct. As he turns to go inside, he pauses. Mira stands at the gate, not like before, when she came wrapped in mist. Now she's clear in the gold of fading day. She carries a small satchel slung across her chest, and her cloak is woven with strands of dried lavender and soft teal thread. They greet each other with a long look, not surprised, not startled, just ready. He gestures, and she steps into the garden. They sit on the stone bench beneath the crooked apple tree, not speaking at first, letting the silence stretch and settle. Mira finally breaks it with a hum. A slow tune, one the wind seems to already know. He joins her, tapping the rhythm softly on his knee, the same way he did when they were both younger, and the nights stretched longer than they do now. I dreamed, she says quietly, of the first flame blooming in my hands. Aldwyn nods. Then it's time, he replies. She reaches into her satchel, pulling out a small bundle. Inside, a scroll of parchment, a pressed violet. Golden with a touch of violet at the center, and with it lit. They begin to speak, not quickly, not with urgency, but with the rhythm of moss growing, of stories kept warm through winter, of hearts that understand. You don't always need to understand, she tells him of the forest. The way it's changing, how fewer stars are seen now from the hilltop, and how certain plants have begun to bloom early, as if time is folding in on itself. He listens, tells her of the village, of the child who returned a nearly burnt candle, of the robin that sang a tune from his dream. She smiles. There's still magic, she whispers. There always was, he replies. They sip tea, mint and nettle, blended with petals from the sleepside flower. Their hands don't shake anymore. Even the fire seems to rest easy in its heart. They talk late, not until midnight, but until the hush returns. That second hush, the one that comes not from nightfall, but from contentment, when nothing more needs to be said. Myra risers. She leaves behind the pressed violet, setting it gently in the center of the table. Aldwyn watches as she steps through the door again, her shadow long behind her. But he knows she'll be back. They always find their way back. The ones who know the light. Softly now. Let the final hush settle in. You've walked the quiet path, and now we reach the end, where the last flame sighs low, and sleep takes your hand. The dream deepens. Aldwyn walks slowly through the glowing candle meadow. Each light he passes flickers gently, not as warning, but as recognition. Every flame is a memory, each flicker a story. Some tell of children's laughter echoing under thatched roofs. Others hum lullabies of grandmothers humming beside fires. One tiny, until remembers a lost ring found beneath a willow. Another soft rose glows with the hush of a goodbye never spoken aloud. And at the center of the meadow, beneath a sky so wide, it swallows time, stands a low stone table. Upon it, a single candle, unlit. This is the last flame. It does not burn yet, for it waits. Aldwyn approaches slowly. Mira is already there, hands resting gently on the stone. She smiles, but says nothing. Instead, she gestures, inviting him to sit. The meadow is utterly quiet. Even the wind has stopped. As though this moment belongs only to stillness, Aldwyn sits, places one hand upon the candle. It is cool, weightless. A soft glow stirs inside. Not yet fire, but longing. Mira places her hand beside his. Two hands, two hearts, and then a breath. Not from either of them, but from the world itself. The candlelights. It is the most gentle flame of all. Pale gold, tipped with pearl, and flickering in a rhythm like a slowed heartbeat. It casts no shadow, only warmth around them. The meadow blurs, not from wind, but from light. Soft rays spreading outward like ripples in still water. Aldwyn closes his eyes. He doesn't need to see. The light is not meant for eyes. It is meant for remembering. He sees his mother's hands dipping wicks into old iron pots. The first time he dared mix rosemary and honey wax. Mira, as a child, laughing when her candle sputtered into blue sparks. The boy who came asking for a flame to guide his father home, the dream of a garden blooming wax petals in perfect silence. And then a sensation. He is no longer sitting, he is floating, but not upward, not downward, just everywhere, as though the flame has become him, and he, a part of the candle. Myra's voice finds him now, not through ears, but through heart. You were never just a maker. You were the flame, the story, the hush that made the dreaming safe. And as her voice fades, so too does the meadow. It does not vanish, it rests, wrapped in wax and light and sleep, back in the cottage. Morning comes again. The shutters rattle lightly. A bluebird chirps from the fence post, and on the windowsill, a candle glows. Not one of Aldwyn's, but one made in his way, with scent, with care, with memory. Mira sits in his chair now, a mug of tea between her hands. Her eyes are soft, but not sad. The book of dreams rests open on the table. She writes a single line in the soft charcoal script. The last flame flickered once, then carried him gently into the hush between stories. She closes the book, wraps it again in wool, and places it in the small chest beneath the window. Then she rises, tucks the pressed violet behind her ear, ties her satchel, lingers, just one moment longer, breathing in the last of the orange and anise candle still glowing faintly in the hearth. And then she leaves, out into the gentle morning, where the fog lifts slowly, and the village awakens with soft footsteps and slower hearts. That night, a candle burns in every window, not just because it is moonrest again, but because the villagers remember. They remember the warmth, the light, the quiet kindness of the man who gave flame to dreams. And as the village settles into sleep, a soft breeze carries the scent of lavender, bees, and something older, something like peace made into light. And you, dear listener, as you lie beneath your own blankets of moonlight and hush, know this: every gentle breath you take, every dream that drifts through you, is cradled by a flame lit long ago, by someone who knew how to listen to the silence between stars. So close your eyes now. Let the hush hold you. Let the warmth remain. Let the candle of your heart burn low, soft, and sure. You are safe. You are held, and all is well. Good night.